York. It is time for the rundown with RC and Juliana. Our first story on the rundown, this from TFPP Wire. New York AG, Attorney General Letitia James, defies President Trump's executive order on child welfare. Here's a little bit from the article. President Trump's order restricting gender-related medical interventions, i.e. child mutilation, for minors is facing resistance from New York's top legal officer, who insists that providers must follow state anti-discrimination laws. And so, of course, taxpayer-funded child abuse must continue. That's my own commentary there. A legal showdown is now brewing over who has final authority on the issue. A couple of the facts. Trump signed the executive order on January 28th. The order targets puberty blockers, hormone treatments, and surgeries for anyone under the age of 19. Letitia James, the Attorney General for New York, believes that halting these services violates state law. And while several hospitals in Virginia, Colorado, Washington, D.C., and New York have paused or canceled gender surgery or minor gender surgery appointments, and the White House, of course, has already taken a victory lap saying that we're protecting children nationwide. Perhaps in a way they are. RC, Juliana, what say you?
How do you start with having to explain to people that Trump is trying to stop the medical industry from being able to say it's okay to chemically castrate a child? I'm sorry, but in my days when I was growing up, that was called child abuse. I can't believe that we're at the point in time in our society that we've got somebody like Letitia James fighting so that parents that there must be something wrong with them to chemically castrate anybody, a child. I don't understand why people aren't standing and screaming about the fact that this is child abuse and this is being allowed.
You know, Andrew, what's interesting, Letitia James seems to specialize in fuzzy math. You know, she's like, find me the man and I'll find you the crime, right? Is what she did with Donald Trump. Boy, she worked triple overtime to find something that wasn't there. And in a situation where she is called to protect the citizens of New York, her answer is, look, we're going to sue so that we can continue to chemically castrate and permanently mutilate kids. In what world, as the Attorney General, by all accounts, the chief law enforcement officer in a state, would you go there when your peers have already said, look, this just isn't going to happen the way that it's going? But of course, New York, the same place that overwhelmingly agreed that abortion is a good thing, and where the governor of the state can stand in a pulpit and in essence be demonic, I guess we shouldn't be surprised that Letitia James is doing her part for Baphomet in making sure that mutilation of children continues.
No, let's not forget, these are the same people that are telling you that you are not able to competently, think and work your way up the ladder, so to speak, yet children are able to say they're a gender or another and make a decision for the rest of their lives. You, RC, me, Andrew, because of the color of our skin, we are not smart enough to get an identification card to vote. Meanwhile, these children who are just fine, picking a lollipop off the playground floor and eating it, can make their own decision as to what surgeries they want, what name they're going to go by, and all this other stuff. When we know also that the at least 80% of children who have actual gender dysphoria or confusion about that, they end up growing out of that. That we know that many regret, and a lot of this is not reversible. It's not harmless. It's not a phase. It's not something that we can just do and dip our toe in the water and mess with it. You can't be a little bit pregnant, and you also can't take back the things that you do to your own body and the way that you're changing your own body, and in some ways your biology or how your biology functions. I mean, but the hypocrisy is staggering, and yet it continues.
We've heard stories of, girls that were kind of tomboyish, right? Because I was a tomboy when I was in, grade school. But nowadays, those girls are being targeted because, oh, well, if you're a tomboy and you like playing football outside and hanging out with the guys, you must be transgender and we should have a conversation with you. And they're being pressured. We've heard stories of children that are like, my mother is pressuring me to do that. We've heard stories of, the father is fighting because the mother who's cuckoo wants to do a sex change on their son. I mean, like, at what point do we say these stories are real and this is really happening to us? And this is child abuse. We have to stand up and say and call it what it is. When you're chemically castrating a child, right, who cannot understand what that means, grows up and then all of a sudden says, oh, I don't know what it means to have a normal sex life because I was chemically castrated. What do you as a society say to that child that you didn't stand up and say, wait a minute, this cultural shift that we're going through, time out, halt. No, when I was a child, this was child abuse. We got to call it what it is and stop it. We, the people, we're going to be responsible. We're all watchmen. And if you're watching this and you see that somebody wants to chemically castrate a child, come on.
Did you see the story? And I want to, let me see if I can look it up really quickly here, about the mother. I forget if she was in Virginia or... let me see here. I think I got it. Mother arrested, this USA Today, Georgia. A Georgia mother arrested after her 10-year-old son went on a walk alone. Before I was 10, I was riding my bike miles away from home, going to movie theaters and friends' houses and all kinds of things. And in the summer, at all hours of the day and night.
Yep.
A mother was arrested. And in fact, I want to go somewhere with this, and then RC, I want to get your take here. Mother was arrested because her son took a solo walk to the store about a mile from home in rural Georgia. The mother said, last time I checked, it wasn't illegal for a kid to walk to the store. The deputies returned with the boy who was unharmed. They came back several hours later, arrested the mother. It's when they're 10 years old. This is a deputy, Kaylee Robertson. This is according to a USA Today article. Patterson's arrest warrant and a report was written by Deputy Robinson to say the root of the charge was that Patterson didn't know where her son was and failed to report him as missing to the authorities before leaving home. Son goes to the store to buy some Jolly Ranchers. The parent is responsible. The son goes to the medical center to have meatball surgery, and this is a parade in the streets, and the parent is fine. Meanwhile, if you're a parent who, but if you are a parent who says, no, my son is not going to have meatball surgery, my son is a boy, not a girl, that they will drag you in for. RC.
Isn't it amazing that the deputy had to be a DEI hire? I mean, that's the only thing I can come up with. But this is where we are, Andrew. I'm much like you as a kid. Yeah, I was all over. I grew up in San Francisco, man. I was all over that city on a bike and all times of the day and night, right? Like, that's just what we did as kids. For a kid to walk to the store and his mom to get arrested, that shows you where America is today in their foolishness. And the contrast you drew is so perfect. Want gender mutilation? Parents don't need to worry about it. That's not on you. That's on the system. The community, the tribe is going to take care of the child. Let them walk to the store. Oh, no. That's a big no.
Okay, story number 2, moving on. I could go on. You know what? I'm going to go on one more thing. I can't, I got to say this because it's true. It is sad and it breaks my heart that we are in a culture now that when someone is dealing with a real mental illness, a real issue like gender dysphoria, that's real, but men are men and women are women. Trans women are not real. Gender dysphoria is real. Do you understand the difference, right? Okay. But it breaks my heart to think we're in a society now where guidance counselors and doctors and institutional people that we would trust beyond our families, when you say, I think I'm built wrong, I think I'm a mistake, that they will say, yeah, you're right, you are. And the only way that you are not going to be a mistake is if we fill you up with chemicals and cut you up in such a way that you are barely a shadow of what you once were or were ever going to be. I think that is one of the most heartbreaking realities and truths about where we are right now, and I think it breaks God's heart too. On that note, next story here, store closings, this from MSN.com. Store closings may accelerate as retailers face problems far beyond tariffs. From the article, brick and mortar had a rough time last year. It's going to get harder in 2025, experts say. According to Coresight Research, they project 15,000 stores will close this year, about double from last year. Bankruptcies, liquidations, and or chains leaving unprofitable locations will be the catalyst for most of these closings. And this apparently is distinct from some of the worries we have about tariffs, either keeping prices high or raising prices further. What brought this to your attention?
Yeah, Andrew. So this story, we've been covering this actually for the last couple of years. There's been a trend, even through administrations, of this. And you see the correlation as a leading market indicator in people's credit card delinquencies and debt, things like car payments. You see these all starting to spike. People don't have the money to spend. And now they're even calling into question what we'd normally consider normal, absolute must-have spending. They're making tough decisions. Well, the trickle down from that is that if there aren't people to buy your stuff, you're not going to stay in business very long. And so many of these businesses are overpaying on leases, right? Commercial real estate is one of the worst businesses for a business to have to deal with. The prices are exorbitant. The onus is generally on them to make improvements, and they don't take any of those things with them in a lease. So they're in a situation where they're probably overpaying on a lease. The people that normally patronize them can't really afford to. They're always having to do deals. And you see this happen with the stores in your neighborhood. They start out all fresh and clean. Then a couple weeks go by, they got to start offering specials and discounts and buy one, get one free. Then it starts to look a little shoddy. Then one day you drive by and they're out of business. Right? This is an effect of the economy. And we said this on this show. Even with Trump in office, this year is going to be incredibly bumpy for the economy. And so you're going to see this accelerate. I mean, it's real, and times are tough, and they're going to get tougher before they get better.
One of the things that we can't forget is, remember Reagan's first term, the Carter malaise, the Carter economy actually extended 2 years into Reagan's term. We didn't start bouncing back until year 3 of the Reagan presidency and that Reagan economy. So it does stand to reason that we're going to have a couple of years before our economy can get any better. And that's if we don't screw it up further going into the midterms. I do, Juliana, I do want to get your comment, but I got to move to the next story. Otherwise, we're not going to have time for our faith focus. So let me get you to weigh in on this first, then we'll go to RC. Next story. Trump setting his sights on the Department of Education. This is music to my ears. I would like to see the Department of Education, the IRS, and a whole bunch of other alphabet soup just go away. Just leave, flush down the toilet, gone. We will figure it out. I'm okay with that vacuum of leadership. This, again, according to TFPP Wire, President Trump's team considering a sweeping plan that could dismantle core functions of the Education Department. Is this real? Are we really going to dismantle the Department of Education?
I'm pinching myself because, yes, I think that is exactly what's going to happen. It's time for families to step up and now say, we want to take the education back and make it super hyper local. Let's open up micro schools. Let's have the Lab or America open up so that we can have, homeschool parents be able to come in and educate in a place, in an area where they can come together and educate each other's children. I mean, it's time for us to have our own schooling and not worry about the Department of Education. When they were instituted, everything's gone down over the years. Our education went from number 1 to 34th in the world. What happened? And if they're not working for us, the Department of Education, we obviously don't need them. It's a win for us with them going away.
RC, do you think, though, that it's possible, or are we just going to, by executive order, dismantle parts of the DOE, and then the next Democrat's just going to put them back in and a whole bunch more?
Great question, Andrew. I think it is entirely possible. And we all know that the states is where these decisions belong. If you suck something like that up to DC, inevitably it's going to become a bloated mess and fail. I don't think there's any irony in the fact that Linda McMahon has been tapped to be the Secretary of Education. what better person to dismantle something than someone who specializes in kayfabe? In wrestling terms, that's kind of giving a feint or a fake, and then the outcome is predetermined. Sorry to our pro wrestling friends, that's the way the world works. Linda McMahon is perfect for that, and she's looking to us, John Q. Public, to tell her all the reasons why the Department of Education, that needs to be a function of the states and not at the federal level. She's been brought in, and she is probably the perfect person to begin to dismantle it. And as smart as she is, she'll do everything she can to ensure that that's permanent.
Like Trump said, she needs to work herself out of a job.
Yep.